Well, joining us now is Father Thomas Petri, president of the Pontifical Faculty of the Immaculate Conception at the Dominican House of Studies. Father Petri, welcome back. Great to be with you. First off, your reaction to the USCCB initiative on the importance of the Eucharist and the vote to move forward with the draft document.
Tracy, I was thrilled that the bishops simply voted to give permission to the committee to draft this document. It's an interesting process the USCCB has. They don't even have the document. This was just a vote to draft a document, and there was, of course, significant discussion about it. But I think we should be satisfied and thrilled that 3/4 of the bishops approved having the document drafted, which means when the draft comes out, presumably in the fall, it will need 2/3 of the bishops to approve it. If already 3/4 of the bishops are approving its drafting, it seems likely that the draft would be approved in the fall.
Now, Father Petri, as we just heard, dozens of Democratic lawmakers, they're accusing the bishops of, quote, weaponizing the Eucharist. And we should also note they do support legal abortion. What are your thoughts on that? And what would you say to them?
Well, I would say, look, everybody has to rise to live to the challenges of Jesus Christ. We all do. And whenever we engage in behaviors or actions that are contrary to the Eucharist, the Church not only has a right, but also has an obligation to challenge and correct us. For our salvation, sure, yes, but also for the good of the Church, for the faithful. And so that's true whether or not you're a politician working on Capitol Hill or in the White House, or whether it's true if you're simply Mrs. McGillicuddy living sitting in the back pew of a local country parish who says something publicly on television or in the newspaper that is contradictory to Catholic teaching, to Catholic morals, and Catholic faith. It's not a weapon to be corrected.
Yeah, and
I mean, it's a sort of a deflection of not wanting to be corrected, to say, well, you're beating me up or you're using this as a weapon against me. Well, I'm sorry. If you're in the wrong and you're practicing and you're doing immoral things, you're going to be corrected. That's the gospel. That's the Church. That's Christianity.
Yeah, another thing I want to talk about, as you heard, appears some people, including political figures, are really challenging the bishops and demanding to be able to receive the Eucharist despite beliefs that go against Church teaching. I want to talk more about that. And, can a person actually demand to receive the Eucharist or any sacrament?
Well, on the one hand, the Church does say that the faithful have a right to the sacraments. But on the other hand, we don't have an absolute right, especially if we are living in sin. The Church's law is very, very clear on this. Canon 9:15 and Canon 9:16, that you should not approach if you're in mortal sin, but you should not be given the sacrament if you're excommunicated, if you're under some other penalty, or if you're persisting and obstinately persisting in manifest grave sin. The Holy Father the Vatican just recently approved a whole new book of penal disciplinary processes in the Code of Canon Law. And the Holy Father himself said in the Apostolic Constitution promulgating that book that correction is part of mercy, and that if we do not correct, especially real immoral behavior, we run the risk, this is what the Holy Father said, we run the risk of tolerating immoral conduct such that simple exhortations or suggestions are no longer enough.
Another thing I want to talk about that was also discussed at the USCCB meeting was Eucharistic Revival. What can you tell us about that and why it's so important?
Well, I think it's wonderful that the bishops are discussing Eucharist in so many ways, in so many different venues and in two different documents, both this Eucharistic document and on Eucharistic Revival. This comes from the Pew poll a couple of years ago that said 69% of Catholics don't believe in the real presence. This is something that Bishop Robert Barron has been really involved with, and now Bishop Donald Cousins and all the bishops over the next 3 years are going to be engaged in various processes from local parishes through the dioceses, through the national church to rekindle the faithfuls, not only their belief in the Eucharist, but because the Eucharist is source and summit, also to help make the faithful missionaries for the Eucharist to preach and to teach the truth of the real presence of Jesus Christ in the most blessed sacrament.
Well, Father Petri, thank you so much for your time today. Always great to be with you. Father Thomas Petri, president of the Pontifical Faculty of the Immaculate Conception at the Dominican House of Studies. Thank you again.
Thank you, Tracy.